Hi everyone, it's Dawn from Rising Dawn Yoga Studio, and I just wanted to hop on and talk about something that has been pretty much a recurring theme over the last 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks I would say, amongst a lot of my clients, and not just my classes that I teach, my yoga classes in studio, but my private sessions that I do with life coaching and also with meditation coaching. The holiday stress is definitely affecting people, and I thought, it's worth coming on and having that conversation with you guys and maybe offer you a few tips that would be helpful in case some of this resonates with you and it's something that you're dealing with. So holiday season comes with a lot of stress, and holiday season starts pretty much now, right before Thanksgiving, and then goes straight through until right after New Year's, right? And even after New Year's can be a little tricky sometimes, but we'll talk about that at a later video. But the holidays in general are stressful, and it doesn't really matter if you're the one hosting the holiday. That comes with its level of stress. When you're hosting a holiday, you're just physically running around like a crazy person, cleaning your house, shopping, preparing foods, trying to get maybe rooms ready for guests that might be staying over. There's so much there. And that's just the physical and emotional stress, right, that shows up. There's financial strain involved when you host a holiday. That is definitely, especially with the cost of food and the way the economy is these days, the strain of hosting a holiday can be a lot financially for the person hosting. Now, on the flip side of that, there is also the financial strain of travel. If you're the person who's traveling, that comes with its own challenges, right? So the stress of traveling, we all know what that's like. Doesn't matter if it's planes, trains, automobiles, you got stress. So you're sitting in traffic, you're waiting online, your flight gets delayed, there's just so much there. Dragging around your luggage, deciding what to pack, right? All of that good stuff. And then there's also the, financial strain with that. The cost of traveling around the holidays just increases. And, so there's a lot of financial strain for those people as well. So it's on both sides. Now, a big one that is something that often gets joked about a lot, and of course, meet everything with a sense of humor. I totally agree with that in life, but the fact that there's going to be family members who can be challenging. They just are, right? And it doesn't really matter. You don't see them that often, but when you're together, it's like, wow, they seem to know right how to push that button in a conversation, whether it's at the dinner table or when you're just lounging around having some appetizers in the living room, watching a football game, whatever. So there's that comes up. And then there's the other thing that doesn't get talked about enough, but it's the strain of the holiday supposedly being this joyous thing, and you have tons of people around that are not experiencing joy around the holiday season. We never know underneath the surface what people are going through. And sometimes it could be sadness and grief because there was a loss in their family, loss of a loved one. But there's other reasons that could be a feeling of loss and sadness. Maybe there was a move throughout the year, right? Maybe you moved to a different location. You're not really familiar with too many people yet, haven't made the friends, can't really afford to go back home to where you came from for the holidays. So you're there and you're alone, and that can be extremely challenging for a lot of people. Now, divorce and splitting custody with your ex on the holidays is very challenging, and I can speak to this because it was something that my ex and I had to both navigate through the years. It was really, some holidays I would have him, the following year he would have him, and when we had to alternate like that, it was one, you had to find a new time of the year where you could celebrate the holiday. So now you're off schedule with everybody else. And then when the actual holiday shows up, people are like, well, why aren't you celebrating? And why don't you want to celebrate? You even have family members that don't seem to get it. It's like, you know what? I just want to stay in my PJs and rest at home. When I don't have my child with me on Christmas morning, it's not really the same vibe. So, and I want to just say right here and now, give yourself permission for that to be okay. You do you, always. It's not what all of society wants, what the family members think you should be doing, and don't let that start to put pressure on yourself about it. So, it's okay if the holiday to you is not the most joyous time of the year, for whatever your personal reason is at this moment in time. So give yourself that permission. That's first and foremost. Now, let's talk a little bit about how do we alleviate stress. What can we do in the moment where we're really at a heightened state and we're coming in and, maybe again, it's the travel stress, maybe it's the shopping stress, the preparing food, and I cooked this thing twice and it still doesn't taste right. And maybe it's the emotional angst that's going around because you feel alone, because there's a loss or some kind of transition in your life that's going on. So whatever it is, that person at the table, right, cousin so-and-so who just went and pushed your button, and now you're like, oh, I can't with this person. Totally fine. Again, give yourself permission to feel all emotions at all times. There's nothing wrong with them. But we need to know how to regulate our nervous systems and do so in a way where we can kind of we all know what it feels like, right? To start to feel stress and anxiety come on. It has a physical hook in us and we feel it. So get in tune with what that sensation is that starts to arise. So maybe it is you start to get a kind of tightness in your belly or in your chest or in your throat. Maybe you start to feel really warm. Maybe you start to have a little jittery, shaky feeling come over you. So whatever it is that starts to show up, get in touch with that sensation. And then from there, you can move into activating your vagus nerve. I talk about the vagus nerve a lot because it's something that is an absolute gift that was given to us by whatever created this meat suit that you're wearing. So your vagus nerve, if you don't know what it is, it's your 10th cranial nerve out of your brain. You have 12 of them, and they're all really important. They actually all have motor functions that they control. So seeing and hearing and swallowing and tasting and all that good stuff, speaking, right? These are all coming from your different cranial nerves, but your 10th cranial nerve, your vagus nerve, has a special thing that goes along with it, and that is to control your calming side of your nervous system. It literally is the switch that everyone is looking for. How do I get out of that stress response in my body, that fight or flight response, and how do I get into that more calming side of my nervous system? So when we activate the vagus nerve, let's just talk a little bit about where this is. So we said it comes out of the brain. It runs down through your head and neck. It even runs down through the torso. It is the longest cranial nerve in your body. And it's also sometimes known as the vagabond nerve or the wandering nerve because it's so long. But it controls everything along the way. So it's innervating your heart. So talk about your heart rate, your lungs, your respiratory rate, your digestive organs, your stomach. So it's controlling digestion. It can speed things up. It can slow things down. Whereas the flip side of that, when you're in your stress response, is speeding everything up. So how do we slow it down? How do we activate this vagus nerve, which is our magic button that we hit to say, no more, I'm calming down. And then when we activate this vagus nerve, we start to allow the brain, it sends a signal, and the brain starts saying, okay, time to release those calming chemicals. That's your serotonin, your dopamine, your natural melatonin. These are all the chemicals that you want to start to release. And what it's also doing is then slowing down the stress hormone of cortisol pumping out from your adrenals. You don't want that. Too high cortisol in your body starts to become toxic. It actually creates a lot of problems, more so than you probably even realize. So it's not just about feeling calm, it's about stopping this physiological response in the body that can actually be harmful. So let's get into that more optimal area of our parasympathetic, that calming side of our nervous system. So we do so by activating this vagus nerve. I'm going to show you two things, and these are two surefire ways that you can, if you start feeling stressed over the holidays, take a moment for yourself, go, just excuse yourself, I have to go to the bathroom, I'll be right back. And in the bathroom, you can do this for 2 minutes. You can take some diaphragmatic breaths. That's so easy to do. You're just putting your hands on your belly, maybe one on your chest, and you're going to close your eyes. You're going to feel your feet on the ground in the bathroom. Let your body feel heavy, so body weight shifts to the feet. And then from here, you're going to take some inhales. And as you're inhaling, I want you to feel underneath your hands, your belly inflate and your chest expand. You want to feel all that big expansion. So big dramatic movements on the inhale, you're inflating, you're expanding, right? Then on your exhale, dramatic movement again, you're compressing. You're pulling your belly button down towards your spine and you're compressing. So what we're doing when we do these big dramatic movements in a diaphragmatic breath is we're taking our diaphragm, which is this huge muscle, and we're moving it up and down. Now the diaphragm has the function of helping aid the lungs, right, in moving air in and out of the body. But what it's also doing is it has the vagus nerve running right next to it. So as it starts to move up and down, it's activating your vagus nerve. And now you're, boom, flipping the switch out of fight or flight into that rest and digest response. The brain starts saying, oh, hi, okay, got a signal from the vagus nerve. It's time to start releasing my serotonin, my dopamine, all my calming chemicals, melatonin, oxytocin, all that good stuff, right? So we want to practice diaphragmatic breathing. It's something you should be practicing on a regular basis, honestly, because the more you practice it, the better you get at it, and it activates so much quicker for you. So diaphragmatic breathing, first and foremost, great way to activate the vagus nerve and get you into that calming state. Now, another one that you can do, and you can even do this while you're sitting at the Thanksgiving table and cousin so-and-so is actually rambling on and just going, oh my God, I can't take this person anymore. Or maybe you're sitting in the airport and you're like, oh my God, they just announced my flight got delayed again. Maybe you're sitting in traffic and you're dealing with that. Maybe you're sitting there, you just had this great recipe come out of the oven, and guess what? It tastes like crap, it didn't work. So totally fine. Here's your number 2 way to activate your vagus nerve. You're gonna take your finger and you're gonna place it inside this little notch. If you follow the outer track of your ear to this little notch right above the ear canal, you apply just a small amount of pressure, not too much. You're not really digging your finger in there. And you're just applying a little pressure, and you start to move in a circular motion, just like this, just enough to move the skin around. And close the eyes when you do this and allow the teeth to unclench. So you want to do this for about 2 minutes. Or you could do a minute on this side, and then you could switch to the other ear and do a minute there, whatever works for you. This activates your vagus nerve, and it does it pretty quickly, and you'll be pretty impressed by it. What I love about this is that, like I said, you could be sitting there, you're just kind of leaning in, and nobody really knows what you're doing, nobody's paying attention. You could be talking on the phone to someone who's driving you bananas, and you have them on speaker while you're doing your vagus nerve ear massage. So a couple of things might happen while you're doing this ear massage. You might start to notice an increase in saliva production. You might also notice a a feeling like you want to take a yawn, or you might just yawn, you might take a swallow, or maybe a sigh wants to happen. It might just be a calming sensation that starts to come over. But whatever it is that's happening, that's a pretty good telltale sign that you've activated your vagus nerve. Now, you can do this more than once, right? So I said a minute, 2 minutes is optimal. If you do 2 minutes on one side, 2 minutes on the other, even better. But if you just excuse yourself and go to the restroom and you have a minute or two, do a minute on this side, a minute on this side. I promise you that you will all of a sudden, whoa, you'll start to feel it and you're gonna go, okay, I'm good. And then just get yourself into your body, right? Stay out of the mental narrative of what the story is that's going on. And it's very easy to do so. Your body is your best friend. It's your greatest tool for calming down. So when you take control of it and instead you move out of the thoughts, thank you thoughts, that's fine, but now I'm going to do this. I'm going to start to allow the body to calm down. Now I'm not in the red zone. Now I'm about, on a scale of 1 to 10, I go from a 10 to about a 7. And now I'm going to get into my body and just feel my feet on the ground, or maybe just feel my seat, feel myself connected to the seat that I'm on. And in those few moments doing that, you will just allow yourself to, yes, let that energy of whatever that emotion is move through your body. Maybe it takes 7 to 10 seconds. It's really not that long. Your focus is activate your vagus nerve, ear massage or diaphragmatic breathing, then start to ground into the body. Feel yourself sitting on a chair, feel your feet on the ground. And when you do that, you are able to stay out of the story, the mental narrative that's going on, and you got yourself in a place of presence where you say, okay, now I'm good. Now I'm ready to go and tackle whatever it is that is next. So just allow yourself that grace, those few minutes to really practice this for yourself, and I promise you this will help alleviate your stress during holiday time. So we have Thanksgiving coming up next week. Of course, I wish you all a very peaceful holiday, whatever it is you're choosing to do. And again, give yourself permission to not celebrate if that's what's right for you. Always put the self first. So go ahead and have a peaceful holiday. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this. And we're going to have a couple videos here. We're going to do like a little series that we're going to keep posting online. And I'm going to be joined by my partner, who is Ben Kimmel. You guys all know him. He is my partner for Project Empowerment. And I absolutely love listening to his suggestions. He is a mental health specialist, and he's got some great techniques and tools to offer you on how to approach dealing with just the holiday season. It brings up a lot of emotions, more so than people realize, and they're not always joyous. So I'm excited to have him come on in the next video. He's going to talk to you guys about that. And we're going to give you an update too on Project Empowerment and let you know how that went. We had an online course that we were doing, and we're so excited to talk to you about it. So there's a lot of good stuff coming up. And again, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And I just wanted to end with a little poem here that I found is so beautiful. Not really a poem, but a quote that is so beautiful about the holiday season. And it's about just being mindful. Be mindful of people around us who may be suffering while we celebrate. And allow yourself the flexibility to be open to how others may be feeling. Allow time in your holiday schedule to be present to them, even if words aren't spoken. Just show up for them. Check in with people. You never know what's going on under the surface, but if there's somebody around your work or your neighborhood, somebody that is maybe even just an acquaintance, check in on these people and just see what's going on. Say hi and let them know that you have a lot of gratitude and thankfulness in your heart that they're in your lives, and sometimes that makes a huge difference. So thanks again, everyone, for listening, and have a peaceful holiday.